Hi, good evening, everyone. Uh, Thank you for joining for today with us. And myself, Jinsi George, functioning as a solution engineer at Jobin and Jismi. And along with me, Mr. Hormis Paul, and he's the leading solution architect. In this session, our focus is to explore how the Oracle NetSuite enables the organizations to streamline and optimize their demand planning processes within a unified cloud platform. So, we will look at how the businesses can leverage the NetSuite to forecast the demand more accurately, balances the supply and inventory, and respond proactively to market changes. So, while maintaining the alignment across the sales, procurement, and operations, the goal is to help you understand how the effective demand planning in NetSuite improves the visibility and reduce the stockouts and excess inventory and supports smarter and data-driven decision making. So, with that, let's get started. Okay, let me start with a quick introduction of our company, Jobin and Jismi. We are a certified solution provider for Oracle NetSuite with over 13 years of experience, and we have delivered 500 plus projects for 400 plus clients across 36 plus countries and supported by strong team of 220 plus NetSuite professionals. And we are also the partners with Siligo, offering the end-to-end NetSuite services from implementation to support. In today's webinar, we will be focusing on how the NetSuite improves the demand planning, helps you increase inventory turns, optimize the stock levels, and drive better profitability by balancing the supply with demands. So let's get started. So the agenda for today will be as follows. So we will be start with a brief introduction to Oracle NetSuite just to set the context for everyone who's new or looking for a quick refresher. From there, we will move into what demand planning really means in today's business environment and keeping it practical and relevant. So next, we will touch on some of the chain challenges that many organizations, perhaps even yours, are currently navigating. So, this naturally leads into why the demand planning has become such a critical focus area for executives and the decision makers. So, we will also talk about the limitations of spreadsheet based planning, something I'm sure many of you can relate to, and how it can hold teams back as businesses scale. So, the building on that, we will give you an overview of the NetSuite demand planning capabilities and followed by a look at the business value, ROI, and some real world use cases to bring everything into perspective. So, then we will shift gears into the seeing demand planning in action along with the case study to illustrate how these concepts work in a practical scenario. And towards the end, I will walk through how we help the organizations like yours successfully implement demand planning with NetSuite. And of course, we will wrap up with a question answer session. So feel free to note down the questions and as we go along. So we truly appreciate you taking the time to be here today. And we hope you will be find this session insightful and relevant to our own business journey. So let's start. Let me introduce you all what is Oracle NetSuite. So the Oracle NetSuite is an AI-powered cloud ERP system. In simple terms, it's designed for a single platform that helps you run your entire business and also give you a smart insight to make the better decisions. So it brings the everything together into one system. Like for example, finance, sales, CRM, e-commerce, inventory, and more. And instead of using the multiple tools or spreadsheets, you can manage everything in one place. So it also acts as a single source of truth. This means all your business data is stored in a one system and giving you a real time visibility. So everyone in the organization work with the same accurate data, which helps in faster and better decision making. So another key benefits is that it grows with your business, whether you have just started or expanding, or NetSuite can scale with your needs without adding the complexity. So as we move forward, remember this is strong connected system is what helps the businesses move away from spreadsheets and improve the demand planning and focused accuracy. Now, what is demand planning and why it's important for the business success? So let me explain with this simple story. Imagine that um, you are a growing business that sells the products across different regions. So every month, the team tries to decide how much the stock you produce you will stock and how they mostly rely on spreadsheets and past guesses. So one month they underestimate the demand and the products run out, the customers are unhappy, and the sales are lost. So the next month they overestimate. So the warehouses are full and money is stuck in excess inventory and the cost increase. So this is exactly where the demand planning comes in. So the demand planning is the process of using the data trends that insights to predict what the customers will actually need. So it helps the businesses plan better so they have the right products in right quantity at the right time. Okay. Now let's look at the some of the common supply chain challenges in modern organizations. So first, the demand is often unpredictable. The customers' needs keep changing, which makes it difficult for the businesses to plan accurately. So second, the teams are not always connected. The different departments like sales, finance, and operations often work separately. So leading a misalignment and confusions. So the third is the businesses are struggling with inventory balances. So the sometimes there is too much stock, which increases the cost, and other times there is too little, which leads to lost sales. And finally, there is a lack of real-time visibility. So without up-to-date information, it becomes difficult to make the quick and informed decisions. So these challenges are exactly why the businesses need smarter and more connected approaches to plan. Now the question is, if these changes exist, all these challenges are still in the exist. So why do so many businesses still rely on spreadsheets? The main reason is that there is no single system connecting everything. So the data sits in different tools. So the teams pull into the spreadsheets to make sense of it. The spreadsheets are also easy and familiar. So they naturally becomes the default choice. Yeah, as we discussed. So the spreadsheets are also very familiar to everyone. So automatically, naturally, they choose the default choice. So they help teams quickly to adjust the changes, demands, and also act as a bridge in between the departments by combining the data from different sources. However, this comes with its own set of challenges. The forecasting becomes manual, which is time consuming and prone to errors. So there are often multiple versions of the same files creating the confusions and no single source of truth. As a business grows, the spreadsheets cannot scale effectively. And because the data is not real time. So the insights are delayed and collaboration becomes difficult. So while the spreadsheets solves the short-term problems, they often create a biggest challenges in the long run. Okay, now let's let's shift our focus to the financial impact of inefficient planning. And for these of in a finance, or supply chain, procurement, or operations roles, you can relate to this closely. I understand the kind of pressure you are dealing with on daily basis. When planning is not accurate, one of the first thing we can see is working capital is getting locked in excess inventory. The money that could be used is growth is instead of sitting in the warehouse. And that's a constant concern for finance team. Oh, at the same time, profit margins start to shrink. So the inefficiencies across the purchasing, storage, and operations all add up, putting additional pressures on overall performance. And the cash flow also become difficult to predict without a clear visibility into demand, and planning inflows and outflows becomes challenges, and which again impact the financial stability. And because of all these, it becomes harder to plan the investments confidently, whether it's expansion or new product or strategic initiatives. So now this bring up with the important question: Can this be solved? And more importantly, is sometimes like NetSuite demand planning is really worth it? The answer is yes, and that is exactly what we are going to explore. Because when you move from manual spreadsheets based planning into connected, the data driven approach, and the impact is not just operational, it's financial, strategic, and long term. So, as we continue, we will take a closer look at how the NetSuite demand planning can help address these challenges and bring the real value into business. Now, moving on the next session, introducing that NetSuite Oracle demand planning. So far, we have talked about the challenges and the impact of inefficiency planning and both operational and finance. So this is exactly where the Oracle NetSuite demand planning comes in. And it's designed to replace manual the spreadsheet based forecasting with a more intelligent and automated approach. So instead of relying on guesswork, it uses historical data, trends, and system driven insights to generate more accurate forecast. So it's also connect a different parts of the businesses, sales, finance, and supply chain. So everyone is working with the same data and aligned plans. So what this means is better visibility, improved forecast accuracy, and more confident decision making. So in this section, we will explore how the NetSuite demand planning works and how it helps the businesses move from reactive planning to a more proactive and strategic approach. Oracle NetSuite demand planning. So as we discussed earlier, the NetSuite is a unified system and the demand planning is built right into it. So it's a cloud-based capability that helps you forecast the demand more accurately. So instead of relying on guesswork, it uses your historical data to generate the forecast you can trust. It also consider the seasonality and trends, help you to prepare the better for changes in the demand. And since it's part of NetSuite and it connects directly with your supply chain and bringing more automation and reducing the manual effort. In simple terms, it helps you can plan smarter using the data you already have in your system. And now let's look at some key capabilities of the NetSuite, Oracle NetSuite demand planning. And first, it supports the multiple forecasting methods. So this gives the businesses the flexibility to choose the approach that best fit for their data and planning needs. So it also uses the historical data to generate the demand forecast and helping the improve accuracy and reduce the guesswork. Another important capability is automated supply planning. So based on the forecast, the system helps plan what need to be produced or procured during the manual effort. And since it's part of NetSuite, it integrates the seamlessly with procurement and manufacturing. This ensures that the planning is directly connected to execution. So overall, these capabilities helps to create more accurate, efficient, and connected planning process. Now let's take a look at the different forecasting methods available in NetSuite. So the NetSuite gives you multiple ways to forecast demand depending on your business needs and the data patterns. So first, there is a moving average forecast. This method look at past demand over a period of time and create a smooth and stable forecast, which is useful when the demand is relatively consistent. And the next is we have linear regression models. So this method identifies the trends in your data, whether the demand is increasing or decreasing, and it uses that to predict the future demand. There is also the seasonal demand forecasting. This is especially helpful for the businesses that sees regular patterns like higher sales during a certain months or seasons. And finally, the NetSuite integrates that sales forecast directly into the demand planning. This means your pipelines and sales inputs are considered, giving you more realistic and aligned forecast. So instead of relying on one method or guesswork, the NetSuite allows you to use the right approach for your businesses, leading to more accurate and reliable planning. Okay, now let's walk through the demand planning workflow within NetSuite and how it enables more streamlined and data-driven planning process. The workflow begin with capturing the historical demand data. The NetSuite automatically consolidates the past sales data and trends and the transaction history within a single platform and providing a reliable foundation for accurate planning. So next, the NetSuite generates the demand forecast automatically using built-in forecast methods that the system analyzes the historical patterns and produces data-driven projections and reducing the manual effort while improving the forecast accuracy. Once the forecast is generated, the planners can review and adjust the demand plans directly within NetSuite. So this allows the businesses to incorporate the real-time insight such as promotions, seasonality, and or market changes, ensuring the forecast aligned with the actual business conditions. And finally, the NetSuite generates the supply recommendations based on the true demand plan. The system suggests the procurement, productions, or transfer actions to ensure that the inventory levels are aligned with expected demand. And overall, this workflow enables the organizations to move forward a more intelligent, automated, and proactive demand planning process within a unified cloud ERP environment. And Now, let's take a closer look at the time-phased planning. So, one of the key strengths of the NetSuite is its ability to consider the supply's lead times. The system automatically factors in how long it takes for vendors to deliver the materials, ensuring that the purchase or production orders are triggered at the right time to avoid delays. So it also supports the safety stock policies and allow the businesses to refer the buffer inventory levels directly within NetSuite. So this help protect against the demand fluctuations and supply uncertainties and ensuring the business continuity even in unpredictable scenarios. So in addition, the NetSuite uses pre-order points to automate the replenishments. So when the inventory levels are fall below a defined threshold, the system can generate recommendations or trigger supply planning actions to reducing the need of manual interventions. And all of these, the elements work together to ensure the optimal inventory availability with NetSuite time-phased approach. So the organizations can maintain the right balance, meeting the customer demands efficiently, effectively, while minimizing the excess stock and carrying the loss. Now, let's look at how the Oracle NetSuite helps to improve the forecast accuracy. So, it starts with the AI-driven demand analysis, which helps the system understand the patterns in your data and generate the smarter forecast. And it also uses the historical demand patterns. So, instead of guessing or your forecast are based on what the actually happened in the past. So the another important factor is seasonality. The system identifies the trends over the time, like peak season or slow periods. So you can plan ahead more effectively. And finally, it brings a pipeline that the sales insights. So by considering what is coming from your sales pipeline, it gives a more com- complete that realistic view of future demand. And all of this together, it helps the businesses move from basic forecast to more accurate and a reliable planning. Now, let's look at how the NetSuite enables effective inventory optimization. So, first, it helps the businesses balances supply and demand. By aligning the demand forecast with the supply planning, the NetSuite ensures that the inventory levels are neither too high nor too low. So, creating a more stable and responsive supply chain. So, next, it focuses on reducing the excess stock. With accurate demand forecasting and automated replenishment planning, the NetSuite minimizes the overstock situations, helping the organizations lower carrying cost and reduce the risk of the obsolescence. At the same time, it helps maintain the service level by ensuring that the right inventory is available when the customers need it. The businesses can improve the order fulfillment rates and enhance overall customer satisfactions. And finally, the NetSuite support the optimizing the warehouse operations with better visibility into the inventory levels and movements, and organizations can streamline the storage and picking and the replenishment process, leading to a greater operational efficiency. And together, these capabilities enables a more strategic approach to inventory management and balancing the efficiency and with higher service performance, all within a unified NetSuite platform. Okay. Now let's walk through the end-to-end process flow of NetSuite demand planning and how each steps connected to create a streamline planning circle. So the process begins with enabling the time-based feature. This is a foundational step where the NetSuite is configured to support the time-based planning and also allowing the systems to align the demand and supply across specific periods. So next, we set the inventory management preferences. So this is where the key parameters such as planning, horizons, safety, stock rules, and a replenishment methods are defined to gauge how the system behaves. So from there, we configure the item record. Each item is set up with relevant planning attributes, includes the demand source, lead times, and forecasting the methods, and ensuring the accurate and item specific planning. So once the setup is complete, we move into the execution by running the demand plan. So the NetSuite generates the forecast based on historical data and predefined models and giving a clear view of expected demand. This is followed by running up the supply plan. So based on the demand plan, the system calculates the supply requirements and generates the recommendations on procurement and productions or transfers. So finally, the process lead to ordering the items with actionable insights, and the system generates recommendations and businesses can confidently execute the purchasing or production decisions. The key automation benefits that the NetSuite demand planning brings to the table. The first, it enables the automated supply orders. So based on demand forecast and inventory policies, the NetSuite can automatically generate the purchase orders, work orders, or transfer orders. So helping ensure the timely replenishments without the constant manual interventions. So it also significantly reduces the manual planning efforts by automating the forecasting, demand planning, and supply recommendations. And planners can shift their focus from respective tasks to more strategic decision making. And another major advantage is that the faster response to demand changes. Since the NetSuite continuously updates the data and planning outputs, so the businesses can quickly adapt to fluctuations in demand and minimizing the descriptions and missed opportunities. So finally, all of this contributes to improved operational efficiency. So with streamlined process, better accuracy, and a reduced dependency on manual inputs, the organizations can optimize the resources, lower cost, and enhance the overall supply chain performance. Finally, let's look at the executive level of return on investment that the NetSuite demand planning delivers. So one of the most immediate benefit is to reduce the inventory carrying cost. So by aligning the inventory level more closely with the actual demand, and businesses can significantly cut down on excess stock, storage cost, and working capital requirements. So it also drives the improved forecast accuracy with data-driven forecast and continuous updates. So the NetSuite enables more reliable and demand predictions, so reducing the unnecessary and improving the planning confidence. So another key outcome is increased operational efficiency. So the automation across demand and supply planning processes minimizes the manual effort and streamline the workflows and allows the team to operate more productively. So the most importantly, it enables the better strategic decision making with real-time visibility into demand. So demand, supply, and inventory and the executive can make informed. So the proactive decision that align with the businesses goal and marketing dynamics. Now let's look at the financial impact of the NetSuite demand planning from a CFO's perspective. So first, it enables a stronger cash flow management by aligning the inventory purchases more closely with accurate demand. The businesses can avoid unnecessary cash outflows and maintain a healthier liquidity. So it also helps reduce the working capital lockup. So excess inventory ties up the capital that could otherwise be investigate in growth initiatives. So the NetSuite helps optimize the inventory levels, so freeing up the cash, improving the overall financial agility. So another key benefit is better financial forecasting. So with more accurate demand signals and integrated planning data, the finance team can create more reliable revenue projections and the budget plans, reducing the financial risk. So finally, uh, all of this contributes to improve the profitability and lower carrying costs and optimize the inventory and efficient operations directly impact the bottom line, which helps the organization can achieve stronger financial performance. Now, let's explore the powerful analytics and dashboard available within NetSuite Demand Planning. To start, the NetSuite provides demand forecasting dashboards that gives a real-time visibility into forecast trends, demand patterns, and planning accuracy. So this allows the planners to quickly assess the performance and make informed adjustments. So this is also offers a detailed inventory performance insights. So the businesses can monitor the key metrics such as stock level, turnover rates, and stock out risk. So helping ensure the inventory is optimized at all times. So in addition, the NetSuite delivers the comprehensive supply chain analytics. So by connecting the demand, supply, and inventory data into a unified system. So the organizations gains end-to-end visibility into their supply chain operations, so enabling the faster and more informed decisions. So finally, the executive level reporting ensures that the leadership has access to high level actionable insights. So, with customizable dashboard and real-time data, the executives can track the KPIs and evaluate the performance and align the planning strategies with overall business objectives. So together, these all capabilities empowers the organizations to move beyond based on reporting and leveraging data as a strategic asset within NetSuite. So before we wrap up, there is look at some key best practices to maximize the value of NetSuite demand planning. So first, it's essential to maintain the clean historical data. So accurate and consistent data is the foundation of reliable forecasting, and ensuring your data is free from errors, anomalies, or gaps, and significantly improve the forecast quality. Next is segment products by demand pattern. Not all items behave the same way. So some may have a stable demand while other are seasonable or highly volatile. So the NetSuite allows you to apply the different forecast methods based on these patterns. So leading to more practice planning. And it's also important to continuously review the demand plans. The demand plans is not a one-time activity. So regularity reviewing that the adjusting forecast ensures that your plans stay aligned within changes, market conditions, and business realities. So finally, the aligned business, finance, and operations planning, bringing together the financial data and operational planning within a NetSuite ensures that the both teams are working towards for the same goal. So improving the accuracy in budgeting, forecasting, and overall business strategy. So let's quickly recap the key takeaways from the today's session on NetSuite demand planning. So the demand planning plays a critical role in driving the operational efficiency by aligning the demands and supply with greater accuracy, and organization can streamline the processes and reduce the inefficiencies across the supply chain. And second, the NetSuite eliminates the dependency on spreadsheets. By moving into a centralized cloud-based platform, the businesses gain real-time visibility, improved data accuracy, and better collaboration across the teams. And it also significantly improves the forecasting accuracy with automated data-driven forecasting models. And NetSuite enables more reliable demand predictions, which helps the organizations plan with the greater confidence. And finally, it strengthens both financial and operational performance. So, from optimizing the inventory and reducing the cost into improving the service level and decision making. So, the NetSuite delivers a measurable value across the business. So, in overall, the NetSuite demand planning empowers the organizations to move from reactive process to a more proactive, intelligent, and scalable planning approach. Okay. Let me share a quick case study from one of our clients in the plastic and rubber manufacturing industry. Uh, they were facing a multiple challenges due to outdated systems. A lot of their processes were manual, which made planning inefficient and time consuming. So they struggled with the demand visibility, which lead to frequent inventory issues, sometimes the stockouts, and other times the excess inventory. On top of that, they didn't have a real uh, time data to support the quick decision making. So, to address this, we implemented the Oracle NetSuite along with the NetSuite demand planning capabilities, and we enabled the data-driven forecasting using the historical data and connected it with inventory and supply chain processes. So this gives them a more struggled and automated approach to planning. So as a result, they gained a better control over inventory and reduced the excess stock and improved the stock product availability. So the forecast accuracy improved, and the most importantly, they now had a real-time insight to make faster and better decisions. So this is a great example of how moving away from manual planning to a connected system like NetSuite can create a stronger impact on both operations and business performances. Now let's look at the how the Jobin and Jismi supports you implement the demand planning in NetSuite. We provide an end-to-end support from initial setup to go live, even beyond. And then this ensures a smooth and structured implementation journey. And we start by understanding your business process. Every businesses is different. So we align the NetSuite to match your specific workflows and planning needs. And in additional, we will help the data preparations and migrations. And clean and accurate historical data is key to good forecasting, and we make sure that the data is ready for that. And we also configure the right forecasting models within NetSuite based on business patterns and requirements. And along with this, we also focus on the users training. So it's also important that your teams are comfortable using the system and can fully benefit from it. And finally, we provide ongoing supports and optimizations, helping you consistently and continuously improve as your business evolves. And so you are just not just a implementing a system, you are building a strong, effective demand planning processes with the right support at every step. And now we come up with the QA sessions. So I hope this session has given you a clear understanding of how the demand planning can be improved using NetSuite. So at this point, I would like I would like to welcome Mr. Homis, is our expert who will be helping the answers of your questions. And please feel free to post your queries in the chat, and we will be happy to address them.
So we got a question here, like how can demand planning in NetSuite help improve cash flow and reduce working capital? Okay. So as we all know, like the excess product on shelf is definitely a capital tied up. And our goal, or most of the company's goal, is to strike a balance between having a sufficient inventory level to meet customer need without having any surplus. With NetSuite demand planning, the system uses historical data and forecasting model to align inventory with actual demand. This helps avoid over purchasing and excess stock buildup. As a result, less cash is tied up in inventory, and which definitely improve the cash flow and working capital. Okay, we got another question, like our demand keeps fluctuating month to month and it is hard to keep up with accurate forecast. How does system handle the sudden fluctuations? Okay. I mean, that's a very real scenario that we have seen in some business. Like NetSuite use multiple forecasting method, and there's a specific method called a seasonal average method, which can be used to generate the demand plan. And it uses the previous demand to examine the seasonal trend of inventory flow, and then project a similar seasonal trend for future stock levels. So it is a very flexible method in which it will project the demand based on the seasonal trends. So if we know like there's a particular item and its demand fluctuates based on different seasons, then definitely this method can be used up to forecast the demand. So we can also have the forecast quickly updated, and also the supply plans can be also adjusted in real time based on that method. Okay, will this help us reduce stockouts and excess inventory at the same time? Okay. Yes, absolutely. Like one of the key strengths of density demand planning is the ability to balance the demand and supply. It is recommended. It recommends optimal inventory level so that you can meet customer demand without overstocking. There are also parameters that we can set in systems such as safety stock and lead time. I mean, safety stock simply means that it is the additional quantity of inventory kept as a buffer to prevent the stockouts, and we can have it set on a item record or item master in NetSuite, and it can be also done per location basis if needed. So NetSuite will make sure that that much buffer quantity is there in inventory. And with regards to lead time, it is the time which refers to the average number of days between ordering an item from a vendor and receiving it. So if the lead times are defined in the NetSuite, I mean, we can also auto calculate that in NetSuite as well. So with the lead time defined, it can also help us like when to place the purchase orders or when to replenish our inventory, so that the excess inventory in our sitting idle in our warehouse, that scenarios won't be there. How does demand planning connect with purchasing and supply planning? Okay. So in NetSuite demand planning, there are like two steps mainly. One is forecasting the demand, and the second part is the supply planning. So both of them are inherently connected. So once the demand plan have been generated in NetSuite, we will be able to prepare a supply plan to meet that demand automatically. We don't need to, let's say, maintain separate Excels or separate information, so that we need to look back at the demand and forecast what should be ordered in the purchase order. So those sort of steps are not needed. So the supply planning is connected with the demand plan. So it will take into consideration the demand that has been forecasted by NetSuite. And then by looking at the lead time and looking at the preferred vendor, NetSuite itself will suggest you when to place the order at what quantity. So definitely both of these aspects is being covered in the demand planning module. Okay, we got another question, like can we include our sales pipeline and forecast into demand planning process? Yes, definitely. Like NetSuite allow you to incorporate sales forecasting and pipeline data into demand planning process. For example, there is this forecasting method in NetSuite called as sales forecast. So what you do is like it will look at the planned orders, like the pipeline orders, which can be any opportunities or records that we are given, and NetSuite will consider its expected ship date. So based on that, NetSuite will be able to forecast, okay, on this date, this quantity might be required in this item might be required in this particular quantity. So based on our CRM data, NetSuite will do the forecast instead of using the historical data. So definitely the sales pipeline can be also used for the demand plan generation. How easy it is to implement NetSuite demand planning, and does it require heavy customization? Okay, so the good part of this demand planning module is that it is a standard NetSuite module. It usually doesn't require heavy customization, and it's mostly configuration driven. Since it is a cloud-based implementation and it's relatively quick and which can be adapted to your business, it's most like a plug and play. But then the configuration preferences and the consideration need to be given. That's it. We don't need to have heavy customization to have these features set up in your account. We got another question here, like what would be the overall cost of implementing the NetSuite demand planning, and how do we evaluate the return on investment? When it comes to the cost, it usually depends on factors like the method that you are forecasting, the number of items that you need to forecast, the method that you use, and the overall scope of your business process. Rather than giving a generic estimate, we prefer to understand your specific requirements and provide a more accurate and tailored costing. So I would recommend connecting with our team. Like, we'll be happy to walk you through the pricing in detail and help you evaluate the overall value in respect of ROI. Can we plan for multiple location or warehouses? Yes, definitely, because NetSuite allows you to plan the demand plan and supply across multiple locations individually. So the system enables you to view the inventory and forecast based per location. We'll be able to do the supply planning and the demand forecasting, because if you are using a multiple location or multiple warehouse, for each location we'll be able to forecast the demand as well as prepare the supply plan as well. Okay, we got another question here, like how does this improve budgeting and financial planning? I mean, with more accurate demand forecast, the businesses can better align with the procurement, the production and sales plan. So consider a case where we are doing the demand plan for a manufacturing industry. So for them, while doing the production plan, they need to know, okay, what quantity of items or the assembly goods or the finished goods need to be prepared ahead so that it meets our future demand. So with the demand planning, it will help the businesses align with those areas. So this lead to more realistic budgets and improve accuracy of financial planning also, as well as the projections. Another question here would be, how does we handle demand for new products? Okay, so for the new items with there is no historical data available, like NetSuite help us to use a feature called as alternate source item. So consider like if you are introducing a new product that is similar to an existing one. So you can use the demand history of that existing item to generate a more realistic forecast for this new item. So that's a feature that NetSuite gives you while generating the demand plan. So it's called as alternate source item. I mean, and if consider a case where this particular new item doesn't have any similar history, so at that time, what we recommend is like the organization can start using with the sales forecast or the pipeline method. So you can start with the CRM data first, and then later you can change the forecasting method to a moving average or seasonal or anyone that's when there is enough history for that item. And there's also option in NetSuite to manually upload a demand plan. I mean, if you know, okay, what the demand of this item is going to be, then you can also have a demand plan manually imported and have the supply plan generated based on that. Okay, we got one more question here. Can we get a full demo of NetSuite to understand how demand planning works in real time? Okay, so we are happy to provide you demo, like and if you're interested in seeing like how this works in real time, we can definitely arrange a personalized demo. We will walk you through the entire demand planning process based on your business scenario, because only while doing that, like you will getting a clear and practical understanding. I mean, please feel free to connect us with our team, and our contact details will be shared at the end. You can touch base with us.
Okay, so we can wind up the question answer session, Hamis.
Yes, yes, okay.
Yeah, okay, fine. So thank you for your valuable session, and uh, you can freely contact if you have any questions or queries, or do you plan for any NetSuite demand planning implementation, please do reach out us. And thank you for joining. Yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you. Bye bye.